What would you do if your loved one called you unexpectedly, frantic, telling you they needed help, but when you went to the said location, they weren't there? These two cases will have you shocked at how similar they sound. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Before I start, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Also, I do think these two cases sound really similar, but I do not think they have a connection some way, shape, or form. Excuse my dog in the background. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. At the time of his disappearance, Brandon was studying wind turbines at the Minnesota West Community and Technical College. As any college student would do when a semester ends, Brandon went to two separate parties on the night of May 13, 2008 in the Candy, Minnesota area. From what people saw from those two parties, they will mention that Brandon was drinking, but not to the point where he was heavily intoxicated. So his friends and others would say that he seemed fine. The party went on, but around midnight on May 14th, Brandon decided that he had enough partying and decided to head home. He got in his car and started to drive. But during that drive, he decided instead of taking the Highway 68 route like he would always do on a daily basis, he suddenly decided to take a different route and take the back roads. While he was driving, he suddenly swerved and his vehicle went into a ditch. Frantic, he took his phone out and dialed his parents' number. As soon as they answered, he explained what happened and that his car was in a ditch, but he wasn't sure where he was located. Keep in mind, it was pitch black there and it's harder to see without any light poles around. His parents asked Brandon to give a rough estimate to where he thinks he is located, so Brandon would tell them that he believes he sees some lights in the distance and probably is the city of Lind. His parents then told Brandon that they would be there as soon as possible, so they started to drive towards the area of Lind. Brandon remained on the phone with them and they agreed to flash each other's hazard lights in order to locate one another, but several failed attempts were made and tension started to build up. "Don't you see me?" he asked his parents in a frantic tone. But when locating Brandon was unsuccessful, Brandon decided to walk to the city of Lind and told his parents on the phone to meet him in a parking lot at a popular nightclub there. Brandon's parents were still on the phone with him when he decided to walk to the nightclub. 47 minutes into the call, Brandon suddenly said, "Oh shit," and the call went silent. His parents heard that and were in a state of shock and worry. They asked if he was okay, but there was never a response back. Just pure silence. They weren't certain on what else to do, so they decided to hang up and call Brandon again to see if he would pick up, but he never did. Some hours later, at around 6:30 a.m. that same day on May 14th, they both decided to report their son missing, but police did not take them seriously and would tell them that it wasn't unusual for a young man like him to stay out all night and go MIA. So police advised them to go home and wait for him there since he might show up, and one officer commented, "It's his right to go missing," to the worried parents. In the later hours of May 14th, police decided to look into Brandon's phone records, and there they saw that Brandon was not in Lind where he told his parents he was. He was in Porter, 25 miles from Lind, and that new information led police to discover his car near Taunton. A team of bloodhound dogs were searching the area where they followed Brandon's scent to a near farm, and from there the scent stopped at a river called Yellow Medicine. It was believed that Brandon fell into the river, and that explains the sudden cutoff from Brandon on the phone, but others believe there is other possibilities to his random disappearance. Brandon is still missing. Brandon Lawson was born in Fort Worth, Texas on November 18, 1986, into a large family and seemed to have a nice upbringing. His parents are Bradley and Kimberly Lawson. Along with his sister Brittany, he also spent a lot of time outside with his brothers Kyle and Billy. Brandon loved camping and fishing. When Lawson approached sophomore year, he met Ladisa Lofton in high school as a junior. He requested for her phone number, and from there, they became an irreversible pair, and then went on to have 3 kids together, but Lawson had another child from a different relationship, and they were a happy family of 6. When Lawson vanished, they had been together for 10 years. Prior to this weird disappearance, Brandon was working for more than 60 hours per week with a newborn son at home and started to develop some stress-related problems. Brandon then turned to methamphetamine. On August 7th, 2013, Lawson called Kyle to ask if he knew where to get the methamphetamine. On that same day, he did not head to his home in San Angelo, Texas, but on the next day, on August 8th, him and his wife got into a heated argument because he didn't arrive home on the prior day. Brandon stormed off just before midnight in his truck, and he took the wall charger with him, leaving his wife to charge her phone inside her car. When he left, I guess he didn't have a lot of gas. His wife said, "I called my brother-in-law to tell him that Lawson was going to run out of gas and put the gas tin on the porch to give to him so he could go get him gas because he was pretty mad at me at the time." At 11:30 p.m., Brandon had contacted his father to let him know he was heading home to Crowley, Texas because of the argument he had with his wife. But Brandon failed to make it throughout the whole 3-hour drive because on August 9th at 12:30 a.m., he ran out of fuel on Route 277 between San Angelo and Bronte, Texas. In a panic, he called his brother Kyle, who was concerned that his brother Brandon was high and observing hallucinations. When his brother pressed him about his high, he denied using any substance. Kyle left his house and drove to his brother's location with his wife and 4-year-old son in order to get the gas can Brandon's wife had left on the porch. The brothers spoke on the phone for a few more times, Brandon often hanging up after just a few words. Brandon reportedly admitted to Kyle that he was bleeding. All the meanwhile, Brandon contacted 911 at 12:50 a.m. and informed the dispatcher that he wanted the cops to arrive and that he wasn't alone.
911 emergency.
Yes, I'm in the middle of the field. It's like we're just pushing guys over. Right here going towards Javelin on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. You got to take it to the woods. Please hurry.
Okay, now run that by me.
We're not talking to him. I still ran into him.
Ah, you ran into him. Okay.
That's the first guy.
Do you need an ambulance?
Yes, no, I need the cops.
Okay. Is anybody hurt? Hello? Hello? Hello?
At 12:56 a.m., a passing trucker noticed Lawson's parked trucks and hanging over the white line of the road and reported it to police. Around 1:10 a.m., as Kyle was pulling up to pick up his brother. All the while he was talking on the phone with him, a policeman showed up to look over the abandoned car. Although neither Kyle nor the policeman could see him, Brandon assured Kyle throughout the phone call that he was there and witnessed his arrival. Kyle parked down the road and waited, figuring Brandon might be hiding from the cop, but Brandon was nowhere to be located even after the policeman left. When Kyle tried to dial Brandon's number, it went straight to voicemail. So with that in mind, Kyle decided to drop his wife and his kid off at his house and then come back for Brandon. But before he left, he placed the gas can in the back of Brandon's truck. At 5 a.m., Kyle went back to the abandoned truck and he saw that his brother was nowhere to be found. He also saw that the gas can he placed was still there. When the county sheriff's office towed Brandon's truck at 8 in the morning, they discovered that he had an active warrant for narcotic charges and had previously been arrested, which made them believe Kyle was aiding his brother in the disappearance. After Kyle passed 2 polygraphs, the hunt for Brandon went on. Nothing was discovered despite the authorities using 6 cadaver dogs, planes, and thermal imaging cameras to investigate the area. Brandon's wife even hired a private detective who led a group of 10 employees, but nothing came up. Everyone involved believed that Lawson had only been paranoid. Despite Kyle's claim that his brother had told him that Brandon's wife had people from their neighborhood after him, everyone in the search agreed that maybe Brandon was paranoid. On February 4th, 2022, Brandon's family posted on the Help Find Brandon Lawson page that a search party ended up locating some clothes that were of Brandon in the last known location he was last seen. And afterwards, the Texas Rangers found some human remains believing that they were of Brandon. But due to the advanced state of decomposition, it is yet to be confirmed that they in fact are the remains of Brandon Lawson. Both Brandon Swanson and Brandon Lawson's disappearance is still a mystery till this day. I'm not saying that these cases are connected in some way, shape, or form, but I do believe that this is just so weird coincidence that they sound so similar, down to their names. But tell me down below, what do you think happened to Brandon Swanson after his last words were "oh shit"? Do you think something actually happened or that he actually fell into the river? And tell me, what do you think actually happened to Brandon Lawson? Do you think that he was just hallucinating due to the substance use, or did something else happen that we cannot explain? I do find it weird that suddenly after a decade they did find like some belongings of Lawson, but other people have searched the same area for years and they never found anything. But thank you for watching my videos. Feel free to go watch my other unsolved and mysterious videos, and see you in the next one.